And Royal Road University, we acknowledge that the campus is located on the traditional land of the Cossacton and the Laquagan people, ancestors and families, known as the Escrima and Sunhi Nation. It is with great gratitude that we now learn and work and play here, where the past, present, future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. Again, thank you for being here. If you want to use the chat option to tell us where you're joining us from, that would be wonderful. Hopefully everybody's in the good room. We're here to talk about tourism and hospitality undergrad programs. Very exciting to be here. And with me today, we have Moira, that is the program head for the BA in International Hotel Management. Don't know, Moira, if you want to say a quick hi.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
And we have Dr. Brian Wright, that is the program head for the BA in Global Tourism Management.
Hi there. Nice to be online again.
Thank you both for being here. And my name is Nancy Prévost-Maurice, and I'm an education specialist at Royal Roads. With me today, I have Alana, that is an enrollment advisor, here to answer any question you might have. And if there's anything going wrong with the webinar, we can always just chat with Francisco. Thank you, everybody, to be here. The agenda for today, so we're getting to know each other in the chat right now. I'll do a brief overview of the Royal Road University experience. I'll talk about the program-specific information with Moira and Brian, so that will be kind of an informal conversation about the programs today. We'll review the application process and requirements, and we will answer your questions throughout the webinar. As those programs will be on campus, you'll be lucky to come and visit Royal Roads University. We are located on 565 acres of land. So on the top left here, you can see Hatley Castle, which I think is one of the famous buildings we have on campus. The castle was built in 1910. It was a retirement home. Then it became a Royal Military College, and now we're a Royal Roads University since 1995. Many movies have been filmed here, and this is a great tourist attraction, which is great when you study tourism and hospitality as well. On the top right, we have the Japanese garden. We have many, many gardens you can explore. So if you're even coming this summer, maybe to visit, or you start the program in September, you'll get a chance to walk around, have your lunch with your colleagues or families outside in the gardens. On the bottom left, you see the Escrima Lagoon. So the campus is facing the lagoon, which is a bird sanctuary. And on the other side, we see the States, the Olympic Mountains. So very a peaceful place that you can, again, have your lunch and just go there, maybe do homework by the lagoon. At the bottom right, it's a reminder that we are online for 25 years. So Royal Roads University was built differently since day one. So it was always for people to be able to join from everywhere in the world and learn together, sometime on campus, online, or in a blended version. And we'll talk about it in a few minutes. Again, if you have any question, please feel free to use the chat. And the question you might ask yourself is, why explore Royal Roads? So we have a few bullet points for you here. We see life as a qualification. It's very important for us that we know that you're bringing a lot of experience with you, work, volunteers. You have done a lot in your life, and this is what brings people together at Royal Roads and what makes the cohort really strong. You will learn from people from everywhere in the world with different background and different learning styles. So it makes really a rich experience. Prof who knows your name. So that's true. You're not a student ID number for us. Prof and your colleagues will soon know your name and remember your name throughout the program. Learning based on life. Again, you can bring, I would say, problems or issue or anything you encounter in your real life. You can bring it at school and you can discuss that with your cohort, with your prof, with your colleagues to really apply the learning you're doing the very next day. Some people would say that we learn by doing. This is what we do at Royal Roads, and it's a real-time application as well. Connection for life. If you look on our YouTube channel, for example, you have student stories and grad stories, and everybody will share about all the great connection they made while they were at Royal Roads. So you will meet people in your cohort, but then you will stay in touch for almost throughout your career, which is pretty fabulous. And we were built differently. Again, since day one, 1995, we were built to teach online. So this is not something we have been pivoting in the past years. It's really something that is at our very core. We are a changemaker campus as well. Ashoka U, I invite you to go online and look what is a changemaker campus. But for us at Royal Roads, it's really about social innovation, leadership, and creating positive change in the world. And why study tourism and hospitality management at Royal Roads? I'll pass it over to Brian and Moira. Thank you.
We good.
Hey, Brian.
Okay, so I'm on.
We got lots to talk about.
Okay, yeah, we certainly do. It's an interesting time to be in tourism and hospitality right now because of the fact that we're just getting restarted again. So as a result of that, you're getting a huge push for employment, and very often very good quality jobs. We haven't found any problems at all in hospitality or in tourism in finding good quality placements for our graduates. It's particularly in Victoria, people are crying out for work, and in particularly people who've got qualifications with a degree. So that is important because it means one of the great shortages that we're facing is undergraduates coming out and getting into internships and getting into supervisory positions very quickly, particularly since we have so many students coming here who've already got some experience in the program. Maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening in the hospitality industry, Moira.
Yeah, beautifully said, Brian, and we can just chat back and forth here for each other for sure. We're in the hotel side, as Brian's nicely segued for me, is we just had a wonderful presentation from the president of the BC Hotel Association, and she shared the statistics with us, and the Canadian hotels full recovery by end of 2023, like full recovery. And so that really speaks to what you're saying, Brian. The statistics, normally if you're in the hotel side of things, you are watching places like Smith Travel Research that give you your data and you understand. And so when you're looking at the numbers to go from a 65% occupancy that is a normal across the country to dropping down to 30 and then close to 0, and then to hear that we're already back up to those 65 numbers according to the research, and that a full recovery by the end of 2023. They're saying even by 2025 we'll be ahead of that. So this is really the time to be looking at those numbers and to seeing where you can situate yourself in the leadership with respect to this recovery. So that's just a little nutshell, from a numbers standpoint. And then there's the transferable skills and all of the interaction and the passion for the industry, that Brian's mentioning how much they need good people right now. So just there's more on that, but we can share a little bit more on that later. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get the next slide. Okay, so one of the things that is important here is there's such a wide range of opportunities here. As Moira just mentioned, a critical factor here is transferable skills. This is a super important element in the tourism and hospitality industry. You get a range of competencies and capabilities and experiences which allow you to go into a number of different directions, either within the field of hospitality and tourism, moving around within some of the career paths and opportunities that are on the screen right now, or alternatively, getting going, getting established in this field, and then moving on into other areas afterwards. For example, we have a number of graduates who are now senior administrators within the provincial government and across the country in different locations. Senior people who have worked their way up because they got such a strong foundations here. Same with hotels, particularly hotel managers. We've got people coming out of here who have done extremely well and have worked along. Now it's about education and re-education for life. And it just goes on all the time. And what we've done in the hospitality and tourism field is to identify specifically what particular areas you can start out in. Obviously, we've got a major opportunity in BC with resorts. The cruise ships are coming in again. The Alaska cruises are going. You've got outbound tourism, you've got inbound tourism, both types of things. You're getting the event management sector going again. Hotels are beginning to staff up and get going. So all of those things are starting to happen. Once again, as we previously mentioned, we're looking for way more students, way more people going out, getting internships, which you can do while you're in school, and then making sure that you're able to transition effectively into a good position when you graduate. So over to you, Moira.
Oh, that's beautiful, Brian. Thanks. I love chatting with you about these things. It's very exciting. My background is in that luxury brand area of the hospitality industry, but there's just so many different avenues. I mean, if people are interested in looking at the great work that Mandy Farmer is doing with Hotel Z, for instance, I mean, you get the new one in Tofino, really merges, Brian's global tourism world with my hotel world. And it's a really, really nice mix. Very, very interesting work. And Brian mentioned the cruise ships. Well, we need this next generation to keep an eye on the sustainable practices in that industry. And that's what the education does. And one of my dear colleagues, when I worked at the Shadow Whistler Resort, in the late 90s, was a fantastic colleague. I think we both worked the front desk together. Well, he's the hotel director for the entire Celebrity Cruise Solstice ship that comes in here and goes up to Alaska. And then I believe they go over to Hawaii and Australia. And so he comes in here every 2 weeks. And I think some of the students in this photo actually, I think, joined us because we were able to board the boat when it was in Port in Victoria. And we had a great time. The students wandered the boat, had dinner, got into the captain's area, got to see all of that. And the cruise ships are back. So as Brian has said, so it's a real consolidation of both the tourism and the hospitality space. And it's very, very joint. And just to add a third partner to that in 1 second or less, the BC Hotel Association has been quoted as saying industry and education partners are critical for our industry and our continued economic recovery. They talk about upskilling, professional training, and including on the job experience and training. So when you're there, even though you've got your degree now, congratulations, and then you're in the supervisory leading and into management, the Hospitality Association wants to continue with your professional development and training and to keep those great tourism partners and have people transcend all through their life on where it takes you. This is just the beginning. It's a pleasure just to watch the students move through their careers. As this slide shows, people in all different places in their life, they find their passion and away they go. Thank you.
Yeah, great. It's related to our motto, I guess, of life changing and life learning. So we never stop. Yeah. I'll just change the next slide.
There we are. Okay, so a critical factor here is what are you going to do in the program? We have two options. One is an accelerated 16-month option, which applies both in hospitality and in tourism. And the other is the full 2-year, 24-month opportunities. As you can see, each one has its own benefits. So on one hand, you've got the on-campus delivery, which is the case for both of the programs. We're looking at a situation where whether you're in the 16-month or the 24-month, you're in with different collections of students in the same program.
Right.
So it's not like you're in a situation where you're separated off. The second thing, the internships, critically important. I'm going to pass it over to Moira to talk about in a couple of minutes. That I think is a very important component. You've got the same cohorts. This is a critical factor because the cohorts are the people you maintain your friendships with right through your working careers. Very, very important. If you want to have a summer break to go out and do work and do your internship, that's available as well. International exchange opportunities are only available for students who are involved in the 24-month program because of the issues around scheduling the actual program. If you want to get into the career faster, obviously the 16-month is a better deal. Either way, they cost the same amount of money, all right? Because you're taking the same number of courses. if you want to take some time to integrate information, to absorb the information more effectively, the 24-month program is for you. And alternatively, if you want to shift into other options in terms of the focus that you're taking in the program, then the 16-month is a good option as well. So I'm going to pass it back to Moira to look at the internships.
Thanks, Brian. This slide was a lot of fun to put together because we went back to the drawing board and said, what does industry need? And industry needs educated students, graduates who are interested in this business and interested in really being front and center and boots on the ground and working with their organizations, helping with their strategy, helping with the vision, marketing, analytics, digital communications. They need people to help with all of these aspects. And this slide was fun because then we said, well, if they need us, then we need to do better. And it was the resort community that was the loudest, as Brian mentioned earlier. So at 16 months, you're out in January, which means you can head to the resorts in the winter where having worked in the resort myself through both all seasons, but summer and winter is just spectacular. So we responded working with industry. So the internships are one of our cornerstones of the program. We have 100% placement. We have students who are now hiring students because these graduate students are in leadership positions and they call and they'll say, Brian, Moira, Rebecca, Eugene, who do you know that would fit this position? Mostly Alberta, BC, some Ontario happening, some East Coast. So all of those connections across the country, the prairies, we're getting a lot of real joy, I think. It's just so fantastic to speak about where the students are graduates and at the master's level. So if you decide to go on to graduate studies, there's that space as well. Everything just seems to be clicking really well where people are also having a lot of fun. So Brian mentioned friendships, and we were on campus in September. So people were getting to know each other and we're working together in those spaces in a safe way. And it worked out wonderfully. We also had some outdoor field studies, which we'll get to as well. And so it's really our passion for Brian and I to put these opportunities together. And then we have student representatives who also help us. So when we come up with a slide like this, many points here are contributed to by the students. I think that's probably good. I would love to talk about exchanges, but we'll get there. Thank you.
Well, in this particular image, you're taking a look at some of the things you can expect. The major thing is it's applied. It's a really critical element in this university as a whole, is that what you learn is based around application and about experience, as opposed to just thinking about the theories. The other side is to make sure that you're in a class which is not a large thing. People will know your name. The instructors know who you are, and they can have individual relationships with you, develop your own learning style, and help build that forward. The other thing is team projects. Teams are fundamental to railroads as well. Part of the development about teams is the idea that once you develop team leadership skills, you're going to be better prepared for going out into industry and working with different teams of people with very varied kinds of backgrounds, which is certainly the case that you're going to work if you go international. You go overseas, you're going to need those skills for sure, and in Canada as well. Out of classroom learning, Moira mentioned that we have a number of field trips. We've got field experiences. We go out and we visit the places. We talk to the people who are actually working in the industry to make sure that we get that developed as well. International opportunities. We have many, many students who are now working overseas. They are international students who've come here, got the learning they need to have, and have gone out and have developed their careers in other places. So international opportunities are really important. And finally, career development. This is an important element too, because you don't stop learning when you leave all the roads. You learn on the job here, you learn in the classroom here, but you continue to learn as you carry on later in life. And Moira mentioned that we've got graduates who actually hire people and carry on with that as they go forward. That's a really critical piece, because we're so tightly integrated with the industry. both locally and nationally and internationally, that we can actually say that. So Moira, maybe you want to comment a bit. The career development, I think, is huge. And you
you covered it. You did great. I'm going to let a cat out of a bag and just ask everyone what they're doing on Friday, September 9th. That's why I'm smiling when you're talking about those out of classroom learning experiences. Brian's checking his calendar. Oh, drum roll. Something called French Beach. So, so if you're watching this webinar, you're going to be in the know. But yeah, we're definitely going to be rolling up our sleeves and having a lot of fun in an outdoor experience. So if you Google French Beach and the campsite on the ocean, feel free to have a look at that. But that's somewhat something we'll share later. But if you're on this webinar, you got the early view, right, Bri?
Oh yeah. This next time I'm going to remember to bring my tent. This last time I forgot, so I had to sleep outside.
You bring my hotel and the chef.
So you know, it's an experience that many people haven't had. Some have, for sure. If you've grown up in Canada, you've probably gone camping. But lots of international students have never actually been outside and camping in a campsite. So this is a very, very good icebreaker and a chance to get to know people really well.
Yeah, really good fun and quite beautiful and very centering, and sort of what Nancy said at the beginning, where, you know, just be present in the land acknowledgement and to think about where you are and situated. It's very much that, I think, Nancy, when we do the camping. It's mostly been for the tourism students and the master students. In tourism management, which I have my degree at Royal Roads for that degree, but I would say that the hotel students are going to benefit as well, even though it hasn't been something we've done in the past. So this is a new adventure for them. And I'm sure, Alana, if you're Googling group camping on French Beach, there's probably a nice link to pop in there. But so thank you for letting me share that.
I think we all want to go now. I'll just move to the next slide. Sorry, my computer is a bit slow for the slides. Here we go.
Oh, look at all these lovely faces. Well, Brian and I, in the next two slides, we just have faces of our students that are excelling. They've already finished the program. They're in leadership positions in each of these spaces. I think Laura in the middle has actually moved to another role. I saw an announcement on LinkedIn for her. It's just been a pleasure. So the Union Club, that's Alex in the bottom, he's actually done quite a few tours for our second and third year students, showing them that part of the industry. So that was his internship through the university, and he made such an impression that they hired him right afterwards. So that's just a nice example. We do a Young Hotelier Summit. That's yhsglobal.com, which we can put in the chat as well. And we take two students who are successful in that competition to Switzerland, and they compete. And Akshay, who's at the top on the left, he actually was one of the winners in the first year I was at Royal Roads. And it continues to be a fabulous learning experience. Our two students from this year's Young Hotelier Summit did it virtually. And I should actually, Alana, I should get you the link to their YouTube video where everyone introduced themselves. So it's absolutely stunning. There's 80 students from across the world, all in one spot, virtually last year. And it takes place in Lausanne. And it's their university has the hotel program, and the hotel students in Lausanne run the whole thing. So it's actually quite lovely, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's in February and March of 2023. So that's just a glimpse. And Brian has a similar slide on the next one with students who are excelling in their careers, moving through both airline industry, travel industry, tourism, quite a few. And Brian, I know you're very connected with the students at the master's level and this current group graduating as well. So I think it's just all very positive.
Yeah, I just point out that I haven't been, I was previously head of the MA program, and I've stepped into this position within the last year or so. So I'm not quite so familiar with all of the different students that have been involved, but I've been involved with some of them. For example, you've got people here who have gone on to do some pretty impressive things. And as far as I know, everyone here is still involved in the community. Some people have done exceptionally good work, but I just point out that someone's with the Edmonton Economic Development Organization right here. Now that means that it gives you that sense of sliding back and forth sideways, because tourism and hospitality are so connected to every other economic aspect that you can be involved in. So you've always got that chance of moving ahead because of the competencies and skills that you develop in the program. So yeah, we're pretty darn happy. We're doing some things. Yeah, you mentioned that Chato's with the Helijet, very successful company, and that's an encouraging model. And so yeah, I'm very pleased with the way things have gone and the success that our students have had.
And your master's students too are hiring yeah, this is just a fun slide. You can go to the next one. You can just have a look through. That's the aspect of enjoyment and fun and event planning and working through, you know, really getting out into our community. That's our Inner Harbor in Victoria. That's our conference center, and really getting a hands-on view of leading and helping with events. There's particular courses that, for example, one's called industry analysis. And so in that course, you go out and, you know, we're participating quite, as Brian mentioned earlier, very applied. And so his master's students graduates, some of them are doing some tremendous work in that sustainable space, working for destination management organizations, the DMOs, and are looking for students to work with. There's also quite a connection with Brian and I and our two other colleagues, Eugene and Dr. Tomlinson and Dr. Wilson-Ma, to find grant money to help with students to pair their work experience with the grant money to support them as they keep moving forward and really moving the needle on the sustainable piece in tourism and hospitality. So all of this is just, you know, quite connected. I think people find their passion. For example, my research passion right now is women executives in Canada and their pathways to success. And we have, you know, we're interviewing, and then what we'll do is we'll bring that information back to the classroom so men and women can learn about those pathways and how people became successful. Because right now there's less than 20% of the boardrooms in Canada and directorships are held by women. And at this rate, you know, at a very slow pace, so there won't even be equity until 2045. So any kind of research we can do in that. So if there's a particular course where you find that might be something, Brian does a tremendous amount of work outdoors. He has I'll let him speak to his focus, of course, in research, which really does help with the students who are interested in these things for their own projects. And as do our two other core faculty member on our school. So I just this slide, the next one, lots of fun, but also what your passion is in your research. Brian, did you want to talk about your research at all?
A little bit. Most of the stuff I've done has been around smaller community destination development. So for several years, I worked with Souk, which is a small community near here, and I also ran a consulting company in this field for 30 years. So I've got some background and some connections there. Right now, I'm focusing mostly on the garden attractions in Victoria and coming out of the pandemic, particularly recognizing that the biggest attraction in the area, of course, is Butchart Gardens, which is probably the biggest garden attraction, well, certainly the biggest in Canada and one of the biggest in the world. So that's my particular focus at the moment. But once again, I'm very interested in community organization, community development, and making sure that people understand how significant that is, that you have to have support from the stakeholders and the local community in order to make sure the development actually continues and is sustainable in the long run.
And I appreciate you saying that, because not only the support, but we also get the community reaching out and asking us to be a part of their problem solving. And that's what we want our students to be able to do, problem solve. So we want them to, as I'm solving right now because I'm getting low battery. So we want the students to be able to work with the community and use, you know, key metrics and have a say at the table and be able to do some problem solving. You see on your screen now where there's all those international exchange opportunities. We have so many really exciting ones for students. I have one of my third year students right now is all confirmed, and I'm all set. Everything's done for her for January 2023 to finish her 4th year, taking her semester abroad in Salzburg. So that's all set up. As Brian mentioned earlier on that slide that had the check marks on it, that you will do an exchange if you wish in the 24-month time frame. In the 16-month, if you want to be accelerated and finish faster, this wouldn't fit for your own ideas of how you wanted to finish your degree. But if you wanted to do the 24-month, did I say weeks? 24-month version, you would be happy to take advantage of the exchange. Anything here, Brian? Because I know you were significantly involved with setting up quite a few of these.
Well, these are because the pandemic took a real chunk out of getting exchanges set up. But to be quite honest, I think what we're looking at here is the ones in Austria and in Germany. They've been successful for several years. Now, I think the next slide has got some new exchanges as well. Okay, yeah, so these are ones which we recently added. Certainly Western Sydney, we have somebody that's heading down there in the global tourism.
Oh, do you? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, two of my IHM students did that in their final year. So if they need to connect, if that's all happening at this moment, we should connect them so they can have a conversation. That was,
Yeah, that's good. So we got a couple of things. So these are some other opportunities which are available if people want to do an exchange. And the next slide, please.
Great. And at some point, we should talk about your COIL work as well, Brian, because that's very interesting.
What we have is an exchange with setting up with an institution in Tasso, which is a university in Guadalajara. And we set up an exchange arrangements there. Most importantly, it has to do with the two teams in working together. So the undergraduate team works with the team in Mexico, and it's specifically around destination development. So that's an exciting opportunity as well. It's going on quite nicely. This gives you a sense of where people are, where they come from, and where they're working. So you can see a lot of focus around Western Canada, obviously, but you can see, in terms of Asia and China, Australia, you can look around and you can see a lot of people working in different areas. We're seeing a lot more people focusing in and going and getting involved with Europe and Africa as well. So, we've got the other thing we're reaching out to is Central America and South America, and that's starting to pick up. It certainly picked up in the master's program, but I think it's starting to pick up at the undergraduate level as well.
And I'm interested in what you did in Guadalajara because I'm trying to set up the same thing in Northern Ireland, University of Ulster, which is where I'm from originally and have many ties. So I'm working on setting something up there as well. And they have a hospitality program. So there's some things there that we just keep working at. I'm also interested in a partnership engagement work with the Canadian government and a partner, which one of the partners happens to be one of our instructors. Our instructors are fantastic. They're part-time with us, and then they're practitioners, they're general managers, and they're leaders in their own industry. And one of them particularly is one of your future instructors, and she's the general manager of one of the downtown hotels here in Victoria. And we're talking about disaster recovery management and what the absorptive capacity is of our industry to business. So business is interested, corporately they're interested in how we do better as a tourism community. And this sounds, crazy, but it's their insurance rates, from $300,000 a year to $900,000 overnight because of paying higher insurance fees. So if they can see a way through with the Canadian government's help to do the research to figure out how we can help the earth and do better, they're all for it. So that hits their bottom line too. So you're really getting an education from a corporate standpoint and from what your passion might be and what you're interested in on the bigger picture. So it's a nice marriage of those interests.
Okay.
How are we doing for time, Nancy? Brian and I could talk all day.
I know, no, you're good. Yeah, I think this slide is pretty interesting. People are asking in the chat, what will I come with? So that's great.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Good,
so
good.
if you take a look at this particular, this is your takeaways, okay? So what are you going to be taking away from coming into the programs? The critical factor is that in order to make sure that the takeaways that you leave the program with, the faculty have to be really up to date in updating the content of the courses. And that's definitely the case that we've got here. I've just recently finished updating the destination management course, the Transforming Communities course I teach in the master's degree program. And what we had to do is to rework the entire program to take into account the process of coming out of the pandemic. And also things like the war against Russia-Ukraine war, and a number of other different factors as well. So you've got these major changes going on, and major changes in terms of global awareness and understanding and trends and issues and those kinds of things. So you get that, you get the grounding in the nature of the industry, you get the global awareness, which is critical now. You get the actual operational skills and knowledge. Now, the people coming in now are considerably better working with social media than I am, because I'm simply too old.
Oh, you're not bad. You're not bad.
Yeah.
You give yourself some credit.
Anyway, I take a lot of, I learn a lot from the students who seem to be very knowledgeable in this area. So the other piece, which is absolutely essential, if you're going to go into a management and leadership situation in these industries we have, you must have good critical thinking skills. And that's something we really push for. Problem solving, critical thinking within the context of working in a team, whether a management team or working with people in the frontline positions. So with that plus intercultural skills, we have a large number of different people from different backgrounds in the program. So that's been going on for several years. And that in itself is a critical factor, because what it does, it helps you work and get established in terms of working with a multicultural workforce. Absolutely essential in this particular field. And finally, expertise in leadership and making sure, as I mentioned, the teamwork element as well.
Well said. You made me think of, I'm revamping the namesake of our program. So IHMN 330, the International Hotel Management course, we're revamping that for the things that you just talked about as well, and coming out of this the past 2 years. And I have one of the best instructors I could ever even taught. I'm so excited to have Stephen Kleinschmidt, who used to run the Marco Polo properties in his life of practice and now in scholarship. So he and I are going to revamp it and take a look at that course this summer before it's offered in January 2023 again. And also, Brian, you've mentioned some important things there about the things that students will come away with. We are also very connected with crisis communication. So helping students who are interested in that area. I remember as a hotelier at the Chateau Laurier as Director of Operations, the corporate office in Toronto took us all through an emergency. And they trained us for 3 days on how to respond to a crisis. And it was very physical. I mean, you were a part of something that was really pretending to be happening live, and how you responded, and everything was recorded and played back for you. And we showed you how your key messages were, how you helped the situation or how you harmed the situation. Were you making things better or worse? Were people panicked because of what you said, or were they calm because you had calm leadership? So those kinds of crisis communication things, I mean, I don't think we can ever underestimate someone's training and education in those areas. So it's really this is a beautiful degree. It's a wonderful space to get your undergraduate degree, because then who knows what you want to do after that with it. Work, graduate studies, you really do come out with a lot. So thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah, wonderful. And I'll just go through, I really like that slide here. I think it's very visual for people to understand how the program works. Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. The idea when this whole I was actually involved in setting up the provincial college certificate and then the college diploma programs back in the 80s and 90s. Okay, long ago. But what you've got here is a stepped educational process which reflects lifelong learning in many respects. So what you're getting here is you start off with your year one college and diploma, and this could be taken off campus or coming up this coming year on campus. So you can start working your way through this program up to the point when you come into this school, into the department here, with the degree completion component, the 16 to 24 months degree completion program, which covers, as we said, core and specialty courses. So you can step out of the 2-year diplomas. We have transfers, lots of transferabilities out of those programs throughout the college system in British Columbia and across Canada, and in fact around the world. You can come in and then start the 3rd-year program. And of course, once again, we're looking for people to do internships and work while they're going through the program. And then finally, once you've finished your program here, you can go on to do your Masters of Tourism Management or the MAISE program. And you can see where the internships pop in between these programs. So you're constantly connecting online learning with your face-to-face courses, and possibly on some online courses as well, moving forward into the MATM. And fairly shortly in 2023, we'll be introducing an online MATM program, which will make it accessible from anywhere in the world.
And if you wanted to go straight from your 4th year, let's say you just really wanted to continue your education, things were working out well for you, you have direct entry with a 3.0 GPA from both Brian's program and mine. So you're automatically in. We just did that this year. So we have our first 2 people going in that are taking that option from my group of 40 graduates in September this year. They're going to start their MATM this summer.
Oh, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can see here, just coming, we're going to have 1st-year domestic entry on the left-hand side. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, carry on.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think you mentioned those transfer, Brian. Thank you. Yeah, many of them.
We got a serious transfer. These are maintained with a huge amount of work for the transferability arrangements that are made by the university. But these are things which have been going on for a long time. So because of the fact that we start with a 3rd-year degree completion program, we've set these up a long time ago. These are both private and public institutions.
Mm-hmm. I love looking at this because I have a college background. So I worked at Algonquin College for over 10 years, and the students there are fantastic. And in fact, one of them who graduated many years ago arrived today in Victoria to start her MATM. So I'm very excited. I'll see her tomorrow morning. We have a coffee, outdoor coffee in the outdoor classroom tomorrow morning at 8:15. So I'll get to see her, and I haven't seen her in 10 years. So I'm very excited about that. Douglas College, you see on your screen, they're in Vancouver, and we work with them and their students. They put together an event up at Whistler, and we joined along, and we had lots of fun. So both groups of students got to hang out together. Quite a few of these places as well, like Nate, for example, one of their faculty members is a graduate of our MATM as well. Sheridan College, our former dean of the Faculty of Management was from Sheridan College. There's just so much great connection. Georgian, my master's student I just supervised, she just graduated. She'll graduate across the stage on campus at the stage in June. We're so excited. She went to Georgian before coming to do her MATM with us in her graduate studies. And I just saw at Selkirk, Brian, one of your students who graduated last year just completed a diploma in digital videography in the film industry, went to Selkirk to do the graduate studies diploma. So once you have that degree, all kinds of things open up as well. So this is just very, very lovely for me to see all of our partnerships and transfer options.
Yeah. Wonderful. And I think
I just overlooked Camosun. Camosun's like the biggest deal ever. So we're just up the road from
just around the corner from
here. Yeah. So don't want to miss out there.
That's a wonderful one. And I know, just being conscious of the time, I have about 10 minutes to answer questions. We'll have 10 minutes to answer question and review the admission. So maybe the slide about the courses, I just invite people that are online or watching the recording to go online on the website, and you can find all the description of those courses. But there's a lot to learn about them.
Yeah, there's many here. You can totally just reach out and ask about those courses for sure, and some of the things they see there. CTC, Canada Tourism College, Canadian Tourism College has, we've worked with so many of their students, and they were top students, even surviving beautifully throughout that pandemic, learning online. because they knew each other from their first year. And so it just was really lovely. And I hope we get to see more students coming from Vancouver, from CTC.
Yeah. Wonderful. And now that, Brian, do you want to add something? Sorry.
Nope, that's fine.
Wonderful. So I'll just move ahead with the application process, but please, Moira and Brian, if there's anything you want to add, feel free to jump in, because I think people, we get excited. We're like, okay, so what's the next step? Here we go. So at Railroads, we have standard admission, and I'll talk about flexible admission in a minute. So we have two admission styles, if I can say, and this is not something you have to choose from. This is something our team will decide for you. But what that means is that even if you don't have a traditional background, you're welcome to apply with us. So the standard admission, as you can read here, will be a 2 years of 60 credit post-secondary education in university transfer or diploma program in areas such as hospitality, tourism, business administration. We ask 24 of credit at the second year level, a minimum B average, 400 hours in tourism hospitality related work experience. And for people thinking of applying to the International Hotel Management, we ask for financial accounting course with a minimum grade of C. So don't get scared if this is not your background. We can talk about flexible admission now, which will be, again, determined case by case. So depending what you have as volunteer, work, and school experience in the past, we can kind of bring that all together to see if you're a good fit for the program. So this is, we consider work experience in the hotel tourism industry, about 5 years of mid to upper level professional experience. And again, that's C grade. And at the bottom, I think Moira and Brian, you have mentioned it a few times, strong academic writing skill and critical thinking are strongly recommended to be successful in that program. And we have some classes, for example, at professional and continuous studies here at Railroads that you can take before the program to kind of get set up for success to join the program after. So we can share more details with you. And here's some key dates, and I'm going a bit fast on this part, but feel free to always go on the website. You click on the program and you will have on the left the admission requirement, application requirement. We really help you step by step to get set up for your application. Key dates, though, very important. We have an intake coming up in September with a deadline in June. So if you're ready to apply, please feel free to go online, start your application. And if you're not looking for 2022, the dates for 2023 should be available soon, and you can apply now and just get started next year as well. How to apply? So that moment that you're like, okay, this program is for me, I want to apply. So you will go on the website, railroads.ca. You will just click apply. You will start your online application by paying a small fee of $128.81. And then you'll get a student ID, your application ID, to submit more documents. So you will be sharing documents with us by email, such as an official transcript, the transcript from any post-secondary institution education that you had in the past. Everything will need to come from your institution to Railroad, so that can be mail or email. Personal statement, so you will write, you will sit and reflect on like why you want to go into the program, who you are, what are your past experiences, and where do you want to go. So you will write that down on a personal statement. And then that personal statement, you can share it with someone that knows you professionally or academically to write your letters of reference. So we will need 2 letters of reference to better understand who you are and if you're a good fit for us. A writing sample and a detailed resume will be other pieces we ask from you. And again, all the details on the website to kind of guide you what to write and what to share. Moira and Brian, anything to add on those?
No, that looks great. Sometimes writing a personal statement is difficult. Certainly, I've learned from some conferences, speaking with some folks, that in some cultures, humility, is a value. And so to be able to talk about yourself in those sort of glowing ways is somewhat difficult. So I appreciate that. So if someone is having trouble writing a personal statement because it's hard to talk about themselves because that's how we were raised, then just reach out and just say writing a personal statement is difficult because I don't talk about myself in this way. But if someone else were to talk about me, this might be what they would say. And so we've learned through that. We've just done some Indigenous ways of knowing, and followed through with that, and really learning that talking about yourself might not always be the easiest thing for people. So totally acknowledge and respect that.
That's a very, yeah, thank you. That's a very good point. Yeah, and the personal statement for the enrollment team and admission team will be just to get to know you and see if if the program is for you, if there's any more question we need to ask. But that's a good point. And I think when I wrote mine for my program, I asked a few friends for advice. I'm like,
good for
what do you
you.
like about me? What do you think I do or don't?
There you go. And I would also say make sure that your references are going to refer for you, because you don't want to be waiting if they don't have time or don't see it. You know, really be clear on who you're picking to do the work, do it for you. They might have good intention, but that's not going to help you. You need to get the document.
Yeah, totally. And here, just before we wrap up, and I see a few questions in the chat, thank you. And we'll make sure that all the links will be shared with you, the people at home, maybe watching the recording. Financial aid, we know that financial aid and awards are a big component of going back to school, because that's something too, maybe you have been away from school for a few years and you're like, oh, is it for me? Can I do it? So we're used to it. We're a school for working professional. So going back to school, we know how important it will be. It's a huge decision for you, and the team at Financial Aid at Royal Roads is very, very helpful. So feel free to maybe just take a print screen or take a picture of this slide and connect with the team there to see what is available externally and internally at Royal Roads to help you to apply and pay for tuition. And talking about our enrollment and admission team, we have amazing people working very hard to get your application complete, to recommend things with you, to work on your application. So always feel free to connect with them at learn.more@royalroads.ca. If you're coming from abroad outside Canada, you can use the learn.more at .international@royalroads.ca, and both teams can work with you. If you have more questions right now, you can as well just scan the QR code and connect with one of our team members. And here we go. Thank you so much for joining. We finished with a beautiful picture of a peacock, because we have peacocks everywhere on campus. I hope you will be able to see them soon. And thank you again so much, Moira and Brian and Elena, Francisco, for being here. That was very useful information.
Okay, thank you.
Moira, do you want to add anything before we wrap up?
How about I unmute? I was just saying thanks to everyone who joined today, and if anyone needs to reach out, we're very happy to continue any conversations.
Yeah, we're happy to, anytime you want any support, just get in touch with us and we can talk on the phone or we can talk through email, whatever you wish. So you bet. Happy to do it. Okay.
Wonderful. We're there for you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Francis.